Welcome to Interviewing the Experts, and today's book review is Atomic Habits. And Atomic Habits operates off of the theory of the habit loop. And what the habit loop is there's 4 steps. There's the cue, there's the craving, there's the routine, and there's the reward. Sometimes craving is dropped and it is just cue, routine, reward. But that's what the 4 steps of the habit loop are. And out of those 4 steps, he creates the 4 laws of behavior change. And those 4 line up with each of those steps. So the first law of behavior change, and he talks about to get good habits and bad habits. So the first law of behavior change is make it obvious. So make the cue obvious, something that you can't miss. So for example, one great cue is when your morning alarm goes off I'm going to use my morning routine for a lot of this, of the good habit routines. When your morning alarm goes off, the cue is to turn on the motivational video that you have already ready to go. That's the cue. Make it obvious. Have it be something that you can't miss, like a loud buzzing sound. The craving is you gotta make it so let's backtrack. The inverse to break the bad habit is make it invisible. So if there's a cue that you have or if there's a bad habit that you want to do, try and eliminate the cue, what makes you want to pursue that habit. So let's use junk food as an example for the bad habit. The cue might be seeing the branding of your favorite snack sitting in your shelf. That is, so making so you can't see it makes it so you don't follow through on that cue. Put the junk food away so you don't see it. The next law of behavior change is make the craving, so the next step is craving, make it attractive. Make what you're wanting to do as a good behavior more attractive. So you want to, and a lot of times you have to be able to reframe it. So if you probably don't enjoy going to the gym, but if you reframe it to, I want to look good, you can make it a little more attractive. And the inverse is make it unattractive. Ooh, fancy. What are the actual bad consequences that you get out of it? And bring that to the front part of your mind. The next law of behavior change is the step is response. So make it, if you want it for the good habit, make it easy. For the bad habit, make it hard. Back to the morning routine. It's a whole lot easier for me to follow through on that morning motivational video that I'm listening to if I have it up and ready to go when I go to bed. So it's all I have to do is push the screen and it'll play. So make it easy. If you want to break a bad habit, make it hard. Throw out your junk food. So that way when you're craving your junk food, you have to go to the store to buy it in the first place. And that's just one example. For other things, you can lock up let's say social media, you can lock it up and you have to get your friend's permission to get it unlocked. Just make it more difficult, because the more difficult you make it, the less likely you'll impulsively fall for it. The next step is the reward. So change, for the good habit, make it satisfying, and for the bad habit, make the reward suck. Make it a tough punishment. And that goes into, we'll cover that a little more in depth in just a sec. And that was the first chapter that he kind of talks about all the broad spec, and then he goes deep into each one. So back to the cue, bundle it with something that you want to do. So the cue for getting up out of bed is the alarm. The cue for turning off the alarm is the cue for uploading the video. Uploading the video is the cue to go get a drink of water, or hitting play on the video. Hitting play on the video is the cue to go get a drink of water. The cue of getting a drink of water is to then grab some food. And each one has the routine and a reward, but at the end of the routine is the very cue for the next one. So you can bundle it with all sorts of things. That's just a bundle of cues that I've done to be very successful in my morning routine when I do it. Now, I don't always do it. In fact, I regularly don't do it. But when I do it, I follow that series of cues, and I set myself up for a great day. The next thing to help with your goals, including that cue, is surround yourself where that cue would be normal. So if you want to get more fit, a great cue would be your roommate going to get ready to go to the gym, or him working out in his room. That's a cue that can cue you to wanting to go for it. The next thing is make sure that your cue is a time and a location. So for instance, at 7 o'clock when my alarm goes off, the cue is set at a specific time with a specific set of circumstances. So make your environment friendly to that cue that you're after. So, and if it's a bad habit you want to break, do the opposite, invert it. That's what all of the inversions of the laws are. Do the opposite of what I'm saying for the good habits to make the bad habits harder to do. So surround yourself with peers where it's normal to do the good habit that you're wanting to. Make the environment more friendly. And if you're not feeling motivated, maybe do a motivational ritual. So for instance, I am not motivated to get up and go do stuff, so that motivational video and that drink of water and that food is the motivational ritual I have for getting up in the morning. Quite often when I have to do something boring and I don't want to do it, my motivational ritual will be me jamming to some music real quick and dancing for a little bit. So that's something else that you can use as a cue to get into state, so that way you then begin doing. So the second law is you need to reduce friction. So the less steps that there is between you and your routine, the easier it is for you to follow through on that craving part of the habit loop. And if you prime your environment, like having that video loaded up, then you're reducing friction. If you figure out when the decisive moment is between when you're going to do it and when you're not, and you focus on making sure that you choose the right thing to do at that decisive moment, then you're more likely to follow through on your goals. So back to the morning ritual routine. That decisive moment is when I hit that, I don't hit the snooze button, but when I hit the off button. I have two choices at that exact moment. I can either go back to my bed and lay down, or I can get up. And so that's the decisive moment. And if I focus on making sure that I follow through on that decisive moment, the rest of the routine follows suit. So focus on that decisive moment. The next one for making it easier and is, he says, downsize to 2 minutes. It's basically the low bar, high bar method. Have a minimum goal that you can do no matter how tired and what mood you're in. Because if you're willing to do that little teeny tiny bit, odds are you're probably going to do more. And if you do a little bit of that every single day, you're still doing the habit, even if it's the minimum amount possible. And then the last one is, for the last one of the reward, reinforce it. Make the reward really, really good. Make it really, really bad. See the benefits of not doing the bad result. Enjoy those benefits. Keep a streak going. If you mess up, don't. A good rule is, if you mess up, the streak is not canceled. Just count it as a setback, or a pause, and keep going. Because if you mess up once and keep going and keep counting that streak, it's a lot easier to get back onto the horse. And if you only mess up once, the streak is going. And on a neurological level, the brain does not count a single mess up anywhere near as habit breaking as a double mess up. So if you mess up once, don't careen off the ledge. A great addiction book I read once talked about how an addict, they'll have a little minor fender bender, and then they'll say the car's completely, everything is ruined, and then they'll go drive like a maniac and completely destroy the car. So only mess up once. Make sure you get back on that horse immediately and try to keep going forward. And then the last thing, which I said we'd come back to, is have an accountability partner. Make it painful for you to mess up on your goals. A lot of people use money as a accountability motivator. In fact, there's websites out there where you put in your credit card information, and if you don't follow through on your goal, it will automatically take money from your bank. So reinforce those rewards. For the routine, really master that decision moment. For the craving, make it so it's more desirable. Make it easier for you to get to that routine. And for the cue, make sure that you know the time and the set of circumstances that make you do that routine. And for bad habits, invert all of those and just make it harder and more difficult for you to do those bad habits. Anyway, that's the Atomic Habits, and it's a fantastic book. You should go read it. I'll see you all next week.